Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Paigey is here with me. Paigey, you gonna say something? Make a noise?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Everybody's having a good Monday. I was gonna go live yesterday. I was messaging with Paigey, and I was at work and I got stuck at work, and I was sending Paigey videos, and I'm like, I'm almost out, I'm almost done. And then it was like 12. What is it, like an hour from now? And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to worry about it. We're not going to do it. So I decided we'd go live today just to knock out some of these stories. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. The one thing that I wasn't expecting, and it actually happened as I was, scheduling the stream, was the casting of Supergirl. Did you think we would find out this quickly? I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit.
Well, it was always going to be sooner rather than later, but I guess it is a Monday. The thing is, it was. I'm assuming that it got confirmed over the weekend, maybe, because it wasn't like middle of last week they were doing those final things. So maybe it just because as soon as it started going through the agents and stuff like that, and like the PR people, it's going to get out there like really, really quickly. So yeah, if it didn't come out today, it probably would have been by tomorrow or the next day.
So we've got the casting here. Let's put it up on screen. So we talked about the two options last stream, and that was Millie and Meg were the two they had narrowed it down to, Millie Alcock and Meg Donnelly. And you said you were team Millie, and they would be stupid if they cast anybody other than her. So do you feel justified and vindicated?
Well, I don't want to say stupid, but it would have been, I think she was clearly the best option. Like the only thing that people were saying for that Meg Donnelly is like, she looks more like Supergirl. I'm like, they're both white with like blue or green eyes and blonde hair. Like they both look like Supergirl. Like if anything, she looks more like the Supergirl in that comic picture there than Meg Donnelly. But also, I remember
people said the same thing about Melissa Benoist when she was cast, that she did.
Melissa Benoist got cast when she was a brunette. She had it was like very, very dark brown hair, and everyone was like, "How's this Supergirl?" But yeah, I think she was clearly the best choice. So it's good that they chose. And here's the thing, like. I was thinking about it, I was like, because James Gunn, like with Superman Legacy, I think he's made some good choices and some bad choices casting wise. But with the actual important roles of Superman, Lois Lane, and Supergirl, he's nailed it. Like he's nailed it. Like it's the other ones where you go, oh, okay, I'm not too sure about that one. And then some of them I think are bad castings, but they're smaller entities in that film that don't really matter long term, or at least specifically for that. But the main ones he's done very, very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this. Now, how do you think this is going to fit into the Superman Legacy movie overall? Like, how do you think it's going to work?
I'm curious about that just because I don't know. Like, the only thing I'm wondering, because I'm more curious about her movie now, because obviously it's going to be between leaving Krypton and getting to Earth. So, is it her arriving on Earth in Superman Legacy, or is she been there for like 5 years or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't think Lex Luthor's amazing casting, because Nicholas Hoult is like, you just don't know what you're going to get. Like Nicholas Hoult can surprise you, but then
do you think he's better than the previous Lex Luthor casting in the movies? Though?
I mean, a stale piece of bread with shit on it would be better than that, Eric. Like, what a stupid question. What did you smoke today?
I like Nicholas. But you're right, he's inconsistent. So
it's not necessarily he's inconsistent, but it's more like, I guess, maybe how he's asked to portray a character. Because sometimes you're like, oh, he could be good in that, and then you watch and like, oh, it's a bit wasted, Yeah. But then like you can get like that Mad Max role where he's just loopy and zany and stuff like that, and it works really well, even though it's ridiculous at the core. So it's a wait and see. He's probably like, it's more likely than not that he's going to be good, but I don't think it's like, from the outside looking in, I don't think it's like, or like just from like first impressions, like I think Superman, Lois, and Supergirl are the home runs, and the other ones, like Nicholas Hoult is like in reserves, if you want to put it, outside the top three, and then the rest are like, well, because some of them I've never heard of. Some of the other castings I haven't seen it.
Now, didn't people say they wanted Meg because Meg had done the voice acting for Supergirl? Is that what it was? They really wanted her?
Eric, I think it was just because they thought she was more attractive or something like that. That's the only reason, because I don't think there was any other reason outside of that.
Yeah. Let's take a look at our previous Supergirls we've had and talk a little bit about what this means overall for like the DC franchise.
Where's Lara Vandervoort, Eric? The small Italian.
I know. that Supergirl.
Get it, yeah.
We'll use her as the stand-in. She'll be the one for the comic book version.
She'll be the Nicholas Hoult of the Supergirls.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've had 4 in live action that I can remember, and so I think all of them have sort of, like, Helen Slater went on to do, like, she was in Supergirl, the TV show, as another character. Although we never really found out what happened with her character, did we? I don't think we ever found out. Somebody in the chat correct me, but I think she was supposed to have something to do with, like, the aliens or something. Would they ever resolve that? I feel like maybe that was an unresolved storyline.
Didn't she show up at the wedding? Yeah.
What was? Now I've got to go back and, like, figure that out. I can't remember. Anyway, her movie is really campy. Her Supergirl was a very campy, silly movie. But she's remembered by a lot of people that love that film. I don't have a lot of positive to say about the movie. I thought it was a little bad in terms of, like, what. But look, it was at a time where that kind of stuff was normal for movies to be a little bit silly. Then we have Laura from Smallville. What did you think of her portrayal on Smallville as Supergirl? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
That was fine, but it was very, like, 2000s.
Yeah. I didn't like the costume. I thought the costume was pretty stupid when she finally wore it. I didn't like it wasn't even really a costume, but just the color scheme. They did a lot of that on Smallville. Like, I didn't like it wasn't Flash. Was it Impulse was the character they had instead of Flash?
Yeah, because they couldn't use, like, the actual proper suits or logos and stuff, so they just sort of did, like, makeshift suits.
Cyborg was rough. That was like a tracksuit. I do remember that. That was pretty funny. And then we have, obviously, probably the most well-known and, dare I say, iconic Supergirl, which is Melissa Benoist, who I think got tired of the role a few seasons in, and I don't think totally understood the difference between filming in California and Vancouver, which I do believe affected. There's a lot of actors, I would say, that go from California to Vancouver and think that it's just another gig, and that it ends up not being the same thing, right? I mean, obviously, we've seen issues with that in the past. I think one of the most memorable ones from the CW would be Candace Patton, who would leave almost every weekend to go home and come back.
We got to remember her, like, Supergirl was different because she almost got, like, the Clark Kent treatment. She didn't get, like, the accuracy of the comics. Like, hers wasn't comic accurate in origin. Like, she didn't spend all that time lost and stuff like that. She just, like, at least in regards to, like, aging up, like, she then has this childhood in it, and, you know, growing up and everything.
You know what's funny is I did not like her in the first season. I don't think that, what was it on NBC? I think it was NBC.
No, CBS.
Was it CBS? Okay. Either way, I don't think they totally understood how to do, like, a proper superhero show. It was more like I don't even want to say it wasn't a sitcom. It was like I don't know. It didn't feel like a proper superhero show. Like, when you look at the episode where the Flash came over, there's a lot of really weird sort of, I don't know, forgettable things that they did that wouldn't have happened in, like, a more, I don't know, people cared about the fidelity of it if they cared about, like, the comic book stuff, the actual gravitas of a superhero show. I just don't feel like they really got it. I think the best seasons of Supergirl were 2 and 3. And 3 kind of fell off in the third part of the season.
No, are you a loony?
Why? What?
It's season 4 was the best season of that show.
What was season 4?
Agent Liberty and Lex Luthor shows up at the end, and
I like the Reign season much better.
No, Reign shit the bed
at the end, but the first
doesn't matter. I don't care.
The first 75% of it was good.
Mate, look, don't even start this. If you're eating a nice
season 4 had the stupid spacesuit because Melissa wasn't on set to film.
Yeah, for, like, the first, like, few episodes. I'm sorry, Eric. If you're
the same thing, the Reign didn't get bad until the last few episodes. So that, like,
no, you're an idiot.
I think season 3, in my opinion, was the most enjoyable season.
L.
So
House of L.
Plus Mon-El, right?
Yeah, Mon-El.
Right?
L.
Yeah, Mon-El is a W.
No, L.
So
Mon is in more L.
Anyway, but I would say, and I'm going to ask the chat, because the chat seems to have a big opinion on this. If you were to talk about Supergirl to anybody else who engaged in the media at all, Melissa Benoist would be the one that most people would know as a live action Supergirl, right? I mean, that's the one that people would think of.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately Sasha, who could have gone on to be Supergirl if the DCEU didn't dissolve, got like shortchanged in a movie that just didn't do well. And I think she did pretty good.
She was playing a very Elseworld Supergirl in that movie, but we never really got to see what she would have been like in a normal timeline.
Yeah.
So that would have been very interesting. But she was obviously playing in Elseworlds.
I mean, she was just put in the movie to get killed a million times. That's pretty much what she did at the end of the film.
Yes, but that's built for so. Like I think that's the thing. Like, you know, you look back at that and you go, "Oh, that feels like sort of pointless." But then you think, "Oh, well, she was meant to continue." Mm-hmm.
So Hero's Journey, everyone's favorite person in the chat with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hero's Journey. I appreciate it. He's very excited, they are very excited at the casting of Millie. Please be an actual Supergirl and not some God Complex Girl Junior. If an actual Supergirl, then I'm pre-ordering those theater tickets. So it's based on the Woman of Tomorrow comic, still, as far as I know, unless they've changed it. And that one is like a coming of age story. Like it really is sort of like Supergirl on a journey of personal growth. And so I don't know if there's going to be any room for what we got. It's not going to be anything like any of these other stories. It's very, very, very different from all of these. Vastly different. So if you've read the comics, you would know that story is quite a far cry from, you know, what we've had in almost any superhero movie ever. Do you think they're going to adapt it like one for one, or are they going to change it? How do you think they're going to do with with that story from the comics to?
Well, I assume it's just like a adaptation. So they'll base it like the spine of the story on the comic, but there'll be different elements like Crypto's in that comic, but is Crypto going to be in the movie, or is Crypto going to be with Superman?
Well, we know Crypto exists, but we have no idea what Crypto's role is going to be.
So is Crypto going to be in that
with
movie?
Millie Supergirl appearing in Superman Legacy, what does that mean for Woman of Tomorrow? Because the way that book starts, it's a little bit different from the normal storyline.
Yeah, which makes you think it's obviously like a prequel of sorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it'll be like, you know, mostly faithful, like you'd expect it to, but just have. I mean, the difference is it's not like that you see a villain in a movie and they go, "Oh, they're going to adapt this arc from the comics." Like the movie is literally the name of the comic. Mm-hmm. It's like they're making, I don't know, like The Killing Joke or something like that. So it'll be interesting, but it'll be like a wait and see.
So Dino says Woman of Tomorrow prequel story. I don't think they've said it's a prequel yet. I don't think that's been mentioned.
Well, the only other way is if it's not a prequel to Superman Legacy, but she's in Superman Legacy, if it's like a flashback of sorts to before.
Cody says apparently it's a sequel to Legacy, so it's a complete follow-up, I guess, to that movie. So something must happen in Legacy that causes her to go.
What if they have like the first half of the first like half an hour of that movie is the events of the comic book, and then she gets to Earth.
Maybe I don't know. And Bob says no way Gunn doesn't include Crypto. Well, I think there was a joke that Chris Pratt was going to voice Crypto. Wasn't that one of the jokes?
Yeah, no, it wasn't really the question of whether Crypto is going to be in there. It was more like is Crypto in Woman of Tomorrow, like in the comic, or
yeah. So
if it takes, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's probably like pointless guessing. If it's taking place after Legacy, does that mean that when she shows up, it's a flashback of sorts, or is it like in the Fortress of Solitude?
Yeah,
as like a thing in there. I'm not too sure.
Well, speaking of stuff that James Gunn has said, he said that none of Superman Legacy will be dedicated to Superman's origin story. Is this a L or a W?
I mean, it depends, because like that can be very loose. Like you could say none, but it could be like none of like how he gets to Earth. Like that's none of the origin. But then like there's still things of him in Smallville.
I mean, without his origin story, I mean, and we know Supergirl is going to be in Superman Legacy. Does this mean that we're not going to get any backstory to these characters at all?
Well, you don't need to do Superman. Everyone knows Superman's backstory.
Well, I don't. Okay, yes, true. I don't mean necessarily Superman. I mean the relationship between him and Supergirl. Are we going to see them interacting with each other on Krypton, or is it going to be?
I think that'd be pointless because he wouldn't remember it. He was a baby.
So no, I mean from her perspective though, because she's getting.
But I think if they do that, then it would be in her movie. I don't know if you wouldn't bother with that in Superman Legacy. That's why I'm curious about.
That seems. I'm feeling like that the vibe I'm getting from all this is kind of spaghetti storyline.
To be honest, I would prefer if she wasn't in Superman Legacy.
Me too.
I prefer if she wasn't, because I don't necessarily, because it just, and that the only reason I say that is because we know they're adapting that one tomorrow.
Yes.
And we know where that's set. So I'm like, well, so that means, are they changing the story, or is it like, that's what, I don't think she needs to be in it. Because also James Gunn said like there's no cameos in it. But I'm like, I mean, how could you use Supergirl in this movie enough to the point where it doesn't feel like a cameo?
But that brings up another question. If there's no cameos, look how many people he's announced that's in this film. It's a lot. So how is everyone going to get a meaningful storyline in a Superman movie? Because there's been questions. I've seen him respond to questions about this, and I've also heard people talk about it. It's feeling like Superman Legacy isn't just a Superman movie. But he said that it is. He said it is a Superman movie. Well, is this going to be like a Civil War situation where it was a Captain America movie, but it also had like 20 people in it? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's more of a Superman movie than like a team-up movie. Like, I think it's still going to be like, at the very least, minor, like 2/3, if not more, like 75-80% Superman. But like when he says like there's, I think he put out a tweet where he said like there's nothing necessarily set anything else up. I'm like, well, that's bullshit because there's engineer people in this movie. So you said, oh, sorry, he's the engineer from the authorities in this movie. And I think they're clearly going to use this movie to at least tease the authorities' presence or the threat of the authority out there, whether it's via Lex Luthor or whatever it is. Right. But like, I think the thing saying like it's not a Superman movie anymore, I think like I've seen that on Twitter. It's like that's just being over dramatic. Like it's still clearly going to be by far a Superman movie at the core, but it's still the first movie and the first step for like the vast majority of people, because like probably like hardly anyone's probably going to watch Creature Commandos if you're being honest, because it's animated.
That brings up another question. I mean, how connected is all this going to? I mean, is Superman really going to be the foundation of all of these different films? Because
I don't think it
feels like a lot of people don't want that anymore. But I
don't think it's about setting up a foundation, mainly based on the fact that it's spread across film and TV. I don't think there's meant to be a foundation like Iron Man was, for example.
Right.
Where then it sort of like brought, they had Iron Man, then Iron Man 2, and then it sort of like branched out from there. I think we're starting like with all the roots, and they're all connecting up to a larger trunk, if that makes sense. But the thing is that how long does it take you to get to that trunk, and then for it to grow, and then for it to actually grow into a decently sized tree? And so
it's more about pacing in your mind.
It's more about planning and everything like that. Because I was also like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, they said that Peacemaker might start filming at the end of this year. I'd be surprised if it did, but that's only if James Gunn is still heavily involved. He might just pass it off the writing to other people to handle.
Right.
But then like Waller should start filming. They said that Supergirl will start filming by the end of this year if things go to plan as well, if they can find a director in time, which makes me think they might be struggling to find a director if they, I don't know, but maybe they just need to do trials and stuff like that. Maybe they're not struggling per se. And then like Lanterns is reported to maybe start filming by the end of the year as well, which is good for like the back half of 2025 or early 2026, because that means there's a lot of stuff that's in production. But it's also like, you don't want to start off a new universe and then just chuck everything in people's faces. You need to do that, like you were saying before, the pacing. Like, do you release Superman Legacy and then there's no other movie for a year, and you let people watch that movie in theaters and then on streaming and stuff to build up their excitement or whatever, and then you start releasing things more consistently.
Right.
Like the only thing that could drop, and I don't think it would be an issue with that pacing, would be something like Peacemaker Season 2.
Yeah.
And Waller.
Yeah.
Because they're already known to people.
Well, we'll see. I'm excited about the casting of Millie. I think it's the correct casting. No offense to Meg, but I really like that Millie has been cast. I know again, Paigey
was asking like what type of name is Millie? Do
like
people
Millie
in America
Rock?
not have the name Millie?
Like Millie Rock?
Well, yeah. Do like people not have the name Millie in America?
I mean, I'm sure they do. I don't know anybody personally.
I know it's short. I like in Australia, like usually.
I think it's short for Amelia, right?
It's either short. Yeah, usually it's either short for Amelia or just Emily.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. We'll see.
Which is weird because it's not short, the same amount of letters as Emily.
We have a couple things here I want to address before we move on to the next topic. Laura says, what are your thoughts on the new trailer for Ghostbusters? I haven't seen it, but I literally have it in a tab. We're going to watch it here at the end of the stream, like right before we wrap everything up. So stick around. We're going to watch it together. I'm excited. I like Ghostbusters, and I enjoyed the movie that came out a couple years ago. So, all right. So we have a couple comments here, and I'm not totally sure what it's all about. So I thought I'd put you on the spot and ask you if you know anything about it too, because I've heard a few things. But Anchorman says, what does Eric think of the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League hate? And Feather Guardian says, sorry if I'm sounding negative, seeing the Justice League killed by the hands of Suicide Squad make me feel pissed. Even that, that's the name of the game. But I have heard, I don't know, should I even talk about what I've heard? Because I feel like it might be spoiler territory.
I mean, the name of the game is called Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League.
No, I know, but I think there's a clip that's a major spoiler that's out.
Don't show the clip then, but you can just, I mean, spoiler, they kill the Justice League.
Yeah, okay. So there's a couple things. Number one is the game was pulled offline because there was a bug in early access that allowed them to complete the story, like from logging into the game. Like you log in and you get the end of the story at the beginning of the game or something like that. No,
I think it just showed that like you had full game completion.
Okay. Because there were people that were sharing clips of something regarding Batman, the Arkham Batman, right? And it's a little bit like, people would say it's disrespectful because again, it's killed the Justice League. So you assume that Justice League members die in the game. And the scenes that I'm seeing, the clips that I'm seeing spoil quite a bit. I'm not going to show any of the clips. But I feel like a lot of people were looking for, first of all, it's a Suicide Squad game. It's not a Justice League game. So I think going into it, expecting it to be respectful to the Justice League is probably the wrong thing. Right? Does that make sense?
I mean, people are taking it way too literal. It's a fucking video game where you're playing as a Suicide Squad. You're playing as villains. Like, what do you fucking think? They're going to try and kill, and their mission is to kill the heroes.
No, like, I know, but I mean, like going in thinking that it is a Justice League game, I think is the wrong way to go into it.
But
right?
they never advertised it like that.
No, anyway, they didn't. So. But we're talking about like the internet, right? I mean,
yeah, I know, but
we went over this before. You try to be rational about it, and I'm trying to explain to you that the vast majority of people on the internet are not rational people.
I don't know. I think it's looking for. I'm not going to play it. I don't think it looked that good.
I'm not going to play it either. I have no interest in it personally. I don't.
The thing is that
when we talked about when was this game announced originally? When was it announced? 2021. I feel like it was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while ago because it got delayed.
Okay. Even after we saw the first stuff from it, like the first clips, and we saw like them saying we're going to fix this, fix that, or whatever, I had no interest in playing this game. None. First and foremost, I don't play first-person shooters, and I do believe the game is a loot game. It's a loot-based shooting game, right, with a story mode. So that's not really for me anyway. So that's just like I don't care that much about it. You know what I mean? For me to have any major opinion about
there was things that looked okay, but it was just like it's not worth spending. I've been baited too many times with these story-based games where you spend $100 and then all of a sudden, like after 12 hours, you're done. You know,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I don't want that.
So like I was just like, look, you could get it on sale, but I wouldn't go out of my way to do it. But the thing is that I knew there was going to be issues.
I saw the picture of this.
I knew there was going to be issues once they said it was in the Arkham Universe. I'm like, because this game did not have to be set in the Arkham Universe at all. They did it to try and just sell some extra copies of the game. And the thing is that they built they dug their own grave with it because, people are going to get triggered over it. Though I think it's a bit weird to be that sentimentally attached to. Like, who cares? Like, just pretend it's not. Like, it's not called Arkham Knight 2.0 Suicide Squad Killed Me or something.
Yeah.
So, but if people can be mad at what they want to be mad at, but I just
that's what I was getting at, is that I think people are going, like, we're going to talk about that in a moment. I want to talk about fan/stan culture. I am going to talk about that, and it will tie into this as well. I did see the picture. I think there was a picture of the Elseworlds Joker DLC or whatever.
I saw the trailer and stuff that they released. It's like a.
What did you think of that? Was it?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but like once again, it was like an issue. Like, why sit in the Arkham universe? Then you could just use the normal Joker from whatever universe you wanted to use.
Yeah. So Cody says not really a looter shooter. There's no. So they took out loot. But originally, I thought it was a looter shooter game. Originally, like
no, it was just like you could buy like a Game Pass thing or something like that. It's just like with any sort of thing, like you do challenges and you unlock things, just like any sort of like RPG.
I don't know what this game is, and I don't really care. I to be completely honest, I know it's a DC product, but it's just one of those things that I don't think I'm going to care about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to engage with it. I'll probably see people talk about it online. Like right now, I'm in the middle of Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I don't care about, Kill the Justice League. It's not really on my radar at all, to be completely honest. But yeah, Feather goes, I forgot how that isn't connected to the Arkham series. I forgot that this isn't connected. Wait. How can I forget that this isn't connected to the Arkham series when this was Kevin Conroy's last role and there's Easter eggs from the Arkham games? I don't think
I don't think anyone's telling you to forget. I'm saying it's more like they dug their own grave, the people that made them, like, because there was no need to. Like, I didn't even know it was until like about 2 months ago or something when they said, I think it might have just been something talking about it being connected, but like, it doesn't look like. I know it's set in Metropolis. I'm pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure I could see the Daily Planet in one of the trailers. But it's like, it doesn't, like, there was no need for this to be set in the Arkham world.
So my question is, if it's not a looter shooter, why is there a battle pass? What good is a battle pass on a game with,
like with anything where you just like, if you don't buy the battle pass, you don't unlock certain things at a certain point, but with the battle pass you unlock something extra.
So that's it? You just get stuff early?
No, you just get extra stuff when you level up.
But I mean, that's it? There's no other benefit to it?
It's just like a standard Game Pass or Battle Pass.
Well, like all the games that I've ever played that have battle passes, it's when it comes to like reward type games, you get more than just that. You either get like EXP bonuses or things.
Yeah, but that's what that. But they would be in that. Like when you level up, one of the levels that is bonus with the Battle Pass could be XP, like bonus, like 2 times XP.
So there's been no mention of what it. Maybe there is a mention of what it. Again, I'm not engaged with this game at all.
Yeah,
but
I don't. We did. So
the Battle Pass is literally cosmetic only. So
I don't know why they would do XP on this game, because it's not like it's COD or Battlefield or something like that.
I just don't see if it's not a first person shooter, it's not a loot game. It's not an actual story game. It's just a co-op type.
No, it's a story game. It's a story game.
Well, I heard that they had to make it a story game because people were mad that it wasn't going to be.
No, I think the issue was that it was always online. Is that the term they use? I know. Let me know in the chat. It's like always online.
That was one of
which is still a thing. I think it's still a thing. But it was like you couldn't play the story unless you were online, or you could only play this. Yeah, it was something weird like that, and people were just like, "What the fuck?" It was something. Someone might have to like clarify in the chat.
Look at all. So I'm just reading these comments. There's so much drama surrounding this game. It's absolutely wild to me. There's an issue with it being connected after Batman set in the Nightfall Protocol or whatever he calls it until spoiler happens. So connecting it is fine. And then Fetman here says there's also a race swap Deadshot to it, explained as the original Arkham Deadshot was just an imposter using the real Deadshot's name. Real Deadshot killed the imposter, which makes Batman look up. Just there's so much drama surrounding this game.
You know what that means? It makes me think that they started developing this before and then later on connected to the Arkham.
Well, that's what it says. Cody says it's been in development since 2016.
So. And when did Arkham Knight come out?
It would have been around that time, right? 2015, 2016. Is that right?
Arkham Knight.
Hold on.
No, that would have been like 2017, maybe. Arkham Knight did not come out in 2013. Was it that long ago?
It says
2014.
No, the Wikipedia says 2015.
Fuck. Well, there's 3 different years in the chat. Someone's put 2013.
Well, I'm going to go with what it says from the actual development. 2015 is what it says. So this game that we're talking about right now was in development as just people were playing the Arkham Knight stuff. So I'm not going to play it. So my opinion on it is, if you're somebody that loves the Justice League and you love the Batman games and you don't want to be fucking upset, don't play the game. Just don't. I mean, I know it sucks. Kevin Conroy, we all love him, right? We all do. But if it's going to make you feel a certain way, do not. I will always say this: don't actively engage in stuff that's going to make your life shit. It will make you a better person. If something's going to make you mad, you express your anger and then you move on. That's the best advice I can give you, which is why I try to stay away from like harping too much anymore on the shit that I hate. I don't have the energy for it. There's too much stuff out there that I'm happy to engage in. Okay, we have a couple super chats here. We're not going to spend a lot of time on these. I tell you right now, Gary, is this really you? I just want to know. Is this really you, Gary? I'm going to put this up on screen. We're going to look at it. I'm going to thank Gary for the super chat. And then we're going to move on to the second super chat, which is actually a question that I can answer here. This is the first one.
You're not going to read it out.
I don't want to. I don't.
Iris has a lot of milk after Nora. I don't know. Depends. How much cereal does she have? I don't know. Does having a baby like reduce your lactose intolerance levels, Eric, or something?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't have an answer to that. I don't have an answer to that one. Okay. This one, however, are they making Daredevil season 4? So apparently the new Daredevil series that's coming out that's supposed to be gonna be like not connected is now connected. There's been set photos that show Foggy and Karen, and they're bringing Bullseye back. So apparently this is just Daredevil season 4. They're just naming it something different so they could renegotiate contract. I actually think they named it something different so they could renegotiate contracts, but now they've got a showrunner. They've decided that it makes the most sense to just connect it to the existing stuff. Do you think it's a good idea or bad idea?
In what way?
Like, do you think it makes sense from a storytelling standpoint to just continue the stuff from season 3? If they're bringing Bullseye back and all the other characters, I'm assuming they were just going to continue the stories from season 3.
If they continue in the story, then fair enough. Because I think, like, if someone's going to watch it, they're more than likely. And also, then they've got the other seasons on Disney Plus. So there's no excuse to be like, oh, I can't watch it. Like, try it there. I do hope Disney's doing what I think they're doing, which is scrapping season 1, season 2 and stuff, and just doing almost just doing mini-series or limited series with these characters. So you have Daredevil, whatever it's going to be called, and then you take a 3-year break. And it makes them not rush. It makes them not go, well, fuck, we've done season 1. Well, season 2 can't be a 4-year break. We've got to do it within 2 years or something like that.
Why I'm really excited about this is this means they could finish stories that they didn't finish from the Netflix shows. Because even though Jessica Jones sort of ended, we got a ending for Jessica. Luke Cage left on a cliffhanger, and there was a couple of stories in Iron Fist that they could have paid off that they didn't do. That now they could possibly bring some of those stories back. They don't have to bring all of them back, but they could bring some of them back. Most certainly they could do like a Heroes for Hire series. That's what everybody wants. They want Luke Cage and Iron Fist together. Give us a Heroes for Hire series. Daughters of the Dragon. Everybody loves Colleen Wing and Misty Knight. Bring them back and do that. I mean, there's a lot of things they could bring back. I loved Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, but Jessica Jones' story came to an end. I don't know if there's any reason to bring her back. But I mean, they could if they wanted. So Punisher. We know Punisher also from Netflix shows. So, were you a big fan of the Marvel Netflix shows at all, or no?
I liked season 1, and I thought 2 was okay, but I like season 1 and 3 of Daredevil. I think season 2 is the weakest season of that. I like Punisher season 1 for the most part, but I don't vibe with season 2.
Yeah, season 2 wasn't great. I didn't like season 2 of Punisher.
Luke Cage. I only like vaguely remember I think both seasons of Luke Cage, it was like they're like both 50-50 in my opinion. Like there was some really good stuff and then some stuff you just didn't care about.
What about Jessica Jones?
I think Jessica Jones is arguably the most consistent of the shows. And then Iron Fist was arse.
Both seasons? You didn't like season 2?
Sorry, Defenders was arse. Iron Fist was just bad.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think Defenders is the worst of the shows. It has like one good episode.
Even worse than season 1 of Iron Fist?
I don't know. It's. I think, you know what? I think it based off potential because it was hyped up. It was like, oh, this is the Avengers of the Netflix universe.
Look, they could have done so much more with that. My opinion, I think that the Defenders series was Daredevil season 2.5 with special guests. That's what it looks like to me, because the story revolves so heavily around stuff that was set up in Daredevil. Just to be completely honest. And I know they wanted to be like an Avengers thing, but I don't know. They needed a completely different person working on that series. The only thing I liked in that series that really worked for me was the dynamic between Luke Cage and Danny Rand, because I think that Luke Cage made Danny a better character in that series compared to season 1 of Iron Fist. But outside of that, they could have done a lot more, I personally think. Gary confirms that it is him. I'm going to take your word for it with the 199 super chat. Yes, it is me. Are you mad at me? I'm not mad at you. I'm just like, you're like, the question sometimes when it comes to like Iris and her bodily functions, I don't really know how to answer them, but no, I'm not mad at you. Luther here dropping $20. Thank you, Luther. He says, for the love of God, Gary, stop asking weird questions. What is the L trophy for? What did I do? What did I do wrong to get an L?
You just tell the L champion.
So I'm working on something now for different donations of super chats, like little fun things that'll pop up on screen. So expect those very soon. I don't have one for 20. But for $19.99, I think is it that YouTube doesn't let you do like actual like flat amounts at a certain level? Is that why, or is it just maybe depends on how you pay through? I don't know. $19.99 makes me think of like how they try to get you to buy stuff. You know what I mean? Like you go to a store, it's like instead of $10, it's $9.99. Do they do that in Australia? They do that here quite often. They price things so that you feel like it's only $9. It's really weird. Essentially, you gave me $20, Luther. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But I don't know. Australia, weird pricing stuff.
Isn't this fucking that dude?
What dude?
The dude.
Which dude?
Isn't this the dude? Isn't this Martin?
No.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure
Luke was Martin.
No.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
How sure?
He can clear it up in the chat if he wants. You know, one of the things that my friends told me that come here from overseas is they don't understand why in America the tax isn't just included in the ticket price. You know what I mean? Like it's $19.99 plus tax.
Yeah, no, that was when I first went there, I was like, "That's the stupidest shit ever." Like, why is it?
So you don't know how much it costs till you go to the register because each state has different taxes.
Yeah. Silly Billies. Hey, America, gun.
So Hero's Journey with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Hero's Journey. Ship of Thesis. What makes Daredevil show a Daredevil show? Does Born Again follow that? We see returning characters, but the show is more than that. I think that's why the show is doing what it's doing, though, right? I mean, I got the impression that whatever they were doing with Daredevil before wasn't working because they fired pretty much everyone.
You know what I think it was?
What's that?
I think they tried to make a Daredevil show with a lot of episodes by himself, and they realized, oh, this fucking isn't working because he has no one to fucking talk to.
You think so? You think that's what it was?
That's literally why. And then people go, oh, why did they have Team Flash? So he could fucking talk to someone. So he wasn't talking to himself like he was losing his mind.
Well, all I have to say is that, I'm happy to see them all back. I love Daredevil. It was a great series. If they take the tone from Echo, which I know wasn't everybody's favorite show, but the tone was right. If that's the kind of tone they're going to take into Daredevil, like make it more of that blend of like the Marvel with the Netflix stuff or whatever, I'm pretty excited for that. So we'll see.
Look at the stats. I got the fact.
Well, I guess you're wrong. Martin's here with the 1990 super chat. I'm right.
Yeah,
here.
I don't know.
That's
This might be Martin with the alt accounts.
So you think Martin has 2 accounts?
Yeah, I think they donate the same amount.
Martin,
they both got G as their surname.
Martin is always around somewhere. He's always around somewhere. Like, I feel like we always talk about like what's Martin doing. It's like enigmatic,
and then he'll just show up. He's either never there and just conveniently here for this time, or he's always watching. It's one of the two.
But Martin, I believe, I don't want to put this out there, but I believe the last time Martin was here was talking about boot camp. So hopefully everything's good with you, you know, and you're living the best life you have.
World War III is coming, so at least you got the training down.
Of course, you got to take it to a dark place.
More realistic place.
Look.
Oh, by the way, I saw the funniest thing. It was like in 2020, it was a leap year. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and Biden versus Trump in an election. And this year, 2024, obviously it's a leap year. 49ers versus Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and it's Biden versus Trump in an election. It's a repeat of 2020. Does that mean COVID 2.0 is incoming?
Do not even put that out in the world.
Because there was that article from a week ago where the Chinese scientists were testing on the human-like mice with, it was like it was not even COVID 2.0. It was like 4.7 or something.
That article had so many community notes on it though from like, misinformation. So I don't know if that's.
But low key, wouldn't mind another pandemic. Not the illness bit, but just like the lockdown.
I don't want it. I don't want another pandemic.
No. In the chat, would you want like not death, but just like some people get sick and you just get to chill at home for a bit? Like there's no pressures to.
I don't think that's an ethical question. You don't have to answer that, chat. Do not feel compelled to answer that.
I think it's very ethical if it's what people want.
Well, I think it's unethical to wish people were sick.
No, I said without the sickness.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Except for like, twerkitis and stuff. But that's just hereditary.
Let's continue with some Marvel news. El Muerto is still in development, apparently.
I agree with that first reply that we can only just see that.
Why? Yeah.
I think.
I don't think it's actually going to happen. I don't think this movie is going to happen. Personally,
the thing is, it might just still be enacted because like contracts with the writers and stuff like that, or I don't know, something like that. And also, they might just, I don't know. I think it's fucking stupid.
I don't see. Do we all realize just how little this character was used in the comic books? I mean, I don't see. There's so many other characters in the Spider-Man world. We talked about this with Madam Web, which, by the way, some funny shit about that we'll talk about right after this. But there's so many other characters in Spider-Man's life, in Spider-Man's world, that are vastly more interesting than these characters that they're picking. I don't like, whose job is it at Sony to figure out what characters they want to use?
Yeah.
Like when Bad Bunny was attached to this, I was like, okay, I see it. Huge star, massive following. I get it. I see what they're trying to do. Maybe they'll make it into something. I can't see anybody else coming in with that much like social follow behind to, pull this off in a way that makes any sense or matters. So Plushy here says Sony could have used popular characters, but they immediately jumped into super obscure ones. It's not even just that they're obscure. It's just they're just not very interesting. You know what I mean? Like this character story, if you go and you read the comics, it's just not a lot there. So they would have to change so much to make the character interesting. Because if you read this comic, you would know Spider-Man being involved with this character's story is kind of what makes the character interesting, because it's a character that we really don't see much anymore. Like, I don't think that after this storyline, I don't think they've ever been used really. So Spider-Man's not involved with this character and he's obscure.
I remember this was the tweet where I learned who Bad Bunny was. Never heard of the dude before. And then it said Bad Bunny. I'm like, who the fuck and what kind of name is Bad Bunny and why are they a Marvel character? So I had to because apparently Bad Bunny was just on I guess Latin America and in the US and stuff like that. Never heard of him.
So Darren, it's not even who asked for this. I don't feel like that's a good metric for why a character should be somewhere. I don't have an issue with this character being in films. It's just the character is so obscure and so random. only a couple of issues that I know of this character's ever been in without a connection to Spider-Man, because it's a standalone film. This will not be the character that we get in the movie. What we'll get in the movie will be a character that's nothing like this one. They would share a name, but there's no way they could do this story from the comics, this one story in a film without having Spider-Man in it. So it's just, my question is why? Just like Paigey said, the reply to this in the other tweet, why? What's the point? There's a lot of other characters that have stories in the Spider-Man world that don't require Peter Parker to be a part of them. That is my question. Why this character? Why specifically this character? And that's it. You know what I mean? That's my only thing. So I just want to know why. Look, so Cam confirmed here. El Muertos has been in 2 issues. Yeah.
There you go.
And Heroes already said it's some weird Bane thing. That's the thing, is he doesn't even really have that much of a story behind him. And I just don't know a lot about the character. All right, let's talk a bit about this Captain America picture here with the suit. So this is the low res. Somebody took it with a potato camera on the back of a toy box, I'm assuming. I think it is a toy. Don't correct me on that. Just let me live in my world. No, I think it's a toy where they show the suit off. And a lot of people are wondering, number one, why the costume has been changed so drastically. And number two, why it looks so much like Steve Rogers. Now, I can tell you the answer to number one is toys and merchandise. Because otherwise, they would just keep the same suit for all the movies.
Yeah.
They would have no reason to change them unless there's a tactical reason for them to change them. So it's merchandising. It's so people will buy. Like, if you go around and you look at t-shirts, you can tell which movie that t-shirt is connected to, even if it just says Thor, because of what Thor's hammer looked like, what his costume looked like, what his hair looked like. They do it to sell that kind of merchandise. That's the reason. We keep asking this all the time, and the answer is always the same. It's about money.
About the money, yeah.
But there is another reason. The other reason is that the actual cowl was a nightmare, and we're going to look at that in a second on why it was so bad. But otherwise, this suit, because people say it looks a lot like Steve Rogers' suit, other than the shoulders, this is almost identical to the costume that Sam had in the comics. Because again, in the comics, they change suits quite often too. But again, it's Captain America. Paige,
also,
what are your thoughts on this?
Why are people complaining now about the cowl when we had a set photo of him in the suit from the back with no cowl on?
Yeah, it was always not going to have a cowl in the upcoming movie. Whether they change it to this or not. It was never. And again, I'm going to show you why in a second, in case you don't know. But do you have an issue with Captain America wearing a Captain America suit? Is that a problem for you at all?
I don't know, Eric. Maybe. Well, yeah.
I'm going to ask the chat. Look, I'm going to do a chat here. A poll for the chat. Let's see. Do you like the new Captain America suit? All right, here we go. And the last option is going to be I don't care. So it's yes, no, or I don't care. Here we go. Poll has started. Please vote on this. We're going to leave it up for a few minutes while we chat about this. But look, that's the suit there. Let's take a look at the comic book suit that I believe they are pulling from. And that is this one here. And other than the top half of the suit, from the shoulders up, and the color of the wings, which, by the way, red wings or blue wings, which one do you think are better? The red ones or the blue ones that you had in the previous picture? I like the red ones. I wish they would do the red wings, but
probably the red, just because it's like almost like an extension of his arms. Then you have the boots, which are red as well.
Yeah, I like the red wings. The shoulders up is the only place it changes. The rest of the suit looks pretty much like this one. And that's because that motif from the star down has been pretty standard for Captain America, with the exception of a few design changes in like belts and boots. But the color scheme has almost always been the same. I know that Bucky did the reverse. He had the red, white, and blue on the top and solid black on the bottom, at least for a portion of his run in the comics. But overall, the red, white, and blue is always going to be part of the Captain America design, which is why US Agent doesn't wear red, white, and blue. He wears a different color scheme altogether. However, so Jordan, I'm not going to argue with you there. I don't like the design on that shield. It looks like a Star Trek insignia with something over top of it. But the rest of the suit looks really good. South Texas Shark says red pops out more. Robert says, I genuinely cannot wait for this take of Captain America. Now Sam has taken up the mantle. I think that Anthony is charismatic and the stories can be compelling. Now Cap isn't a super soldier. I think we talked about this before. In the series, I wish that he would have taken the serum. But I know deep down inside that that's like not who his character is. You know what I mean? Like that's not the type of character Sam was or would be.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about Captain America just being physically stronger than other people that I think adds a little bit to who the character is. But maybe that's just because it's Steve. Maybe that's why I like the idea of him being a super soldier. This is more of a tech-driven Captain America. It's like, he's got cool gadgets and stuff like that. And I guess that's fine too. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Serenity says, I like the wings are red, white, and blue. Prefer the comic costume. Too much blue in the movie version. Okay, understand. Runzia says, I agree with Eric. Season 3 of Supergirl was better. Yes! See, that's what I'm saying. That's a based take.
Okay, so one person out of how many agree?
But that's all it takes, Paigey.
A win is a win.
Just one. That's all it takes is one person. Okay, so let's take a look at why they're getting rid of the cowl. I think it's important to understand. By the way, did you see they changed TweetDeck to X Pro?
No, I haven't used TweetDeck in ages.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so here's a shot. We're going to look at this, and I've got another couple shots we'll look at. But here's a good example. So they had to do this for every single shot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let me blow this up so you guys can see it better. As you can see, because of the costume designs on the show, the cowl did not fit correctly. Now, I will say this. Maybe they should have reached out to the people that do costumes for the Flash, because they got really good at making these kinds of headpieces. I know people try to shit on the costumes for the Flash, but they had this down. They could do these open cowls pretty well, except for the one for Reverse Flash in that black suit. Do not go to those people, but everyone else did a good job. A good way to fix this would have been to add like a chin strap on it with the 3D printed chin strap like they did on Grant's costume. But yeah, they had to do this for every scene that he wore the suit in. And there's even shots here. Let me show you if we can pull them up. So where's it at? Okay, so here's a shot on set, and people are sharing this one around. And you would think, oh, this is
from set.
Well, hold on. People were sharing this around because they're like, this is the way it looked on set. So people complaining about the way it fit on him are liars. That's what a lot of people are saying. That the
like
actual
from the show.
I know, but let me explain to you why people are saying that. This is why it's cropped this way. They're trying to make it seem like this was taken on a camera on the set, not from the show. But this absolutely is a shot from the show. That is the argument they're having. Let me show you what it actually looks like instead of that way, because that one is the corrected one. Here's how it looks when it's not corrected. So just so people know. There we go. Now you can see it without the VFX. See how it pulls up on the corner and by the ear? That's from the same scene. So basically, every time he's on set with this particular suit, they have to correct it. So I think instead of trying to make it work, they just said, fuck it. And decided it wasn't worth it. Now you can decide whether or not that's the correct answer for yourself, but that's ultimately why they decided to change it. It just made a lot more sense, honestly. Because the reality is that there was a design of the Falcon costume that had this kind of cowl back in the comics, and they went with the goggles instead of that for years. So they should have just done that with the Captain America suit from the beginning.
The goggles.
But everybody wanted this design because this is the one that was the first like redesign of Captain America, had that particular cut on the suit. And so it's what it is, right? It just didn't work.
Captain America had a low taper fade.
Maybe. I don't know. Just make you laugh so hard.
Well, Eric sent me a song by Tom McDonald that he was listening to all week.
From who?
Old McDonald? Sorry, Tom McDonald.
Who is Tom McDonald? I don't know who that is.
He's your favorite rap artist.
No, I don't even know who. I've never heard that name.
I'd never heard of him until this week.
Oh, well, clearly.
You know him. I know Eric knows him. He's just.
I mean, I might know if I see him. I don't know who he is, though. Like, if he's a rapper, if he's a rapper of any relevance at all, I would have heard his name prior to this. So.
You sure? Are you in the rap game?
Well, I mean, like, I know all the beef between Nicki and Meg. Like, so yeah, I mean, I keep up with rap stuff. I have to for my job. I've never heard that name before. Which means that clearly it's an internet thing.
Oh, so can we get you reacting to Tom McDonald featuring Tom McDonald, I think it is, featuring Ben Shapiro?
Oh, that's the guy that did the Ben Shapiro song. So I didn't even know that. Like I've never even listened to it. I'm never gonna listen to it, to be honest. I'm never gonna listen to it.
So no reaction.
No reaction. I'm not gonna contribute to any of that at all. All that grifty music, they can keep having that shit and doing whatever they're gonna do.
I think you'd be really into it.
I don't. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't even want to give them a click.
I think it might have been on the Sound of Freedom soundtrack.
Oh, probably. I
don't want to confirm.
So Canada Graph shows up. He goes, first thing I hear when I show up is Paigey snickering in the weirdest sound snicker ever. There we go.
Snickering.
So we're gonna maybe we're gonna watch the trailer for Ghostbusters here in a second. That's kind of the last thing I have queued up, but I want to talk a little bit about something, and I wanted to see kind of what Paigey's take was on. Actually, we have one more thing, but we'll talk about that in a moment. It's about Thunderbolts. We'll bring that up in a second. There was an argument online on stan culture ruining fandoms. Like it's a big discussion. I've seen it on several different places now, that the idea that somebody picks a side and then just defends that side and acts like there's no flaws, no mistakes on it. And I actually think this kind of came from the Nicki Meg stuff, like the arguments they're having and how stan culture's affected that. They're saying that has ruined fandoms because you have these people who are not fans of something. They simply pick a team and then just defend that team. What do you think about that? Do you think that's true? And I want to bring it back to like the whole DC thing, like the Snyderverse, like, because we know there's Snyder stans that act that way. There's Marvel stans that act that way. There's people that do that. Do you think that's ruined like fandoms because of people like that being involved with it?
Well, that people can't have any sort of like nuance to their opinion, and they just
right. They won't call something mid. Everything has to be 10 out of 10, and they won't ever.
Isn't that you with Marvel?
No,
I'm joking. But you see that a lot. You see it with everything. Like, and it's frustrating because I'm always someone that just tries and I'll just base, it is what it is. You just base it of what it is. I don't really, but I'm also someone that won't just like be negative on something for the sake of it unless it's absolutely arse.
Mm-hmm.
So like the thing I was most negative on for 2023 was Rebel Moon because that was poo. Like it was garbage. Yuck. And that's like probably the most I was like, I sort of felt bad about it. I was like, because like a lot of effort goes in, well, you'd assume a lot of effort goes into making things like that. But then, but you just see, Rebel Moon's probably a good example. Like that's clearly not a good movie. Like I think objectively that's not a good movie. But people defend it with their heart. Well, yes,
because there's issues with that movie that are actual problems. Like it's not just like I don't like that actor or I don't like that soundtrack or whatever. There's issues in the making of that movie that have made the movie unwatchable for a lot of people.
Yeah. But then people won't have a conversation about it because it's either going to be the worst thing in the world, or it's like, it's God tier filmmaking, and oh my God, it's the second coming of Christ, or whatever it is. Like, it's got to be the best thing in the world, and there's no nuance to it. You know, it's a thing I talked before. Like, everything's either good or evil. There's no in between.
Right. And that's one of the things I've argued about is I don't necessarily want to sit in the middle and go, oh, well, I'm not going to pick a side. Like, I'll say if I like something or if I don't like it, but
you don't have to ham in on like completely to one side or whatever.
Exactly. So like, that was one of the big criticisms we got, or at least I got when I first started reviewing shows, was that I would like 3 episodes and then I would hate an episode. And they're like, well, why the fuck do you hate it? And I'm like, because I'm not watching these shows to just blow smoke up people's asses every time I watch them. It was one of the big issues with The Flash. And you remember we were doing the after parties, like we would have an episode come out and I'd be like, okay, I didn't like that episode. And so it would be kind of a down week because we're talking about an episode we don't like. And we both hated doing it. I know you would tell me sometimes, like when we knew a bad episode was coming up, like we both knew it was going to be a bad episode. And we're like, we just don't want to even talk about it because it's going to be shit. You know, we knew that. When
that would happen, I'd spend minimal time on like the bad stuff because I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about it because it was shit. Why would I want to remember it or revisit it, might I say? And I just talk about the stuff that was half decent, always like relevant going forward. And then I just, whatever it is. And then that's it. Like, and that's usually how I talk about most things, unless it's like, you know, like the bad stuff is relevant. And that's usually with movies because that's self-contained. While in a TV show, like you just leave it in the past episode and you move forward with the story. But in a movie, the movie is the story.
Yeah, I just feel like it's in a weird spot where being a fan is now the middle ground. You know what I mean? It's like being a fan of something puts you square in the middle, and then you have the stands on one side and you have like the haters on the other side. And it's literally just like you're in the space where you can't. It's hard to chat with people about stuff rationally because everything becomes this irrational. I fucking hate it. It's the worst movie ever. How many times can something be the worst movie ever made? How many times can that happen? How many times can a movie be the best movie ever made? You know what I mean? It's just, it's not a logical way to look at art. It's really fucking weird.
Well, by the way, I mean, I know it's a bit of a change of topic, but if I don't mention it now, I'll forget it. Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on them adapting like already existing shows into other shows?
What do you give me an example of what you're talking about?
Well, we got one coming up in about a month called Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching. It's like, is there a reason for this? Because I just completely like.
Does it remind you of the Disney stuff, like when they do the live action?
Sort of, but stuff? Even to like a different extent, because I'm like, this is such a big fan base of a show.
So are you asking my personal opinion or why I think they do it?
Well, I know why they do it. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Hello,
well, but I also think it's because they want more eyes on their media. I don't think it's just the thing is, for example, some people don't watch animated stuff, so they're like, we'll make it into live action, and then maybe they'll go back and watch the animated ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's what
true. But I'm just wondering, like, with this, how much improvement can they do compared to how much damage they can do?
Well, first of all, the trailer looked okay. I think
I saw one today, and the VFX looked horrible.
Yeah,
you can see.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that's a really good tie into this. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I thought the trailer looked okay for a TV show. Like I wasn't expecting it to be a movie or anything like that.
I mean, that's the only issue nowadays is when you think of like a Netflix show, you think like they're putting like it should look like a movie almost because how much money they're putting into it. But like for me, I didn't really watch Avatar growing up. Like it was on TV, and like I remember Aang and watching some of it, but I wasn't like I knew about it enough, and I watched enough that I went and saw the Shyamalan movie when it came out in the theaters, and I wasn't even sure whether it was good or bad. I was just like, there's just some stupid shit in that movie. And I've only seen it once. Oh, actually, didn't we get like back to back like that in like Dragon Ball Evolution? Or what was it called?
Yeah, I think it was. Or
like in like the same like couple of years or something.
Yeah, what was it called? Dragon Ball. Oh, what was the name of that?
Evolution, wasn't it?
Was it Evolution?
Dragon Ball. I feel like it was Evolution.
Does anybody remember what the title of that was? Dragon. I remember it came out right after that. I think. Anyway,
I think it was Evolution, but I might be wrong.
South Texas Shark says I may get Netflix just to watch it. So. It is Evolution.
Yeah, I thought it was. I remember it had like a I knew it was. I was gonna say GT, but that was the actual proper show.
And Kenny says he liked the reboots of Magnum PI and MacGyver. I think that's a little bit different though. Because,
they're different though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a reboot you're gonna expect things to be different, but Pagey's talking more of like a 1-to-1, like almost an exact copy of
when it's already a show. Like that's a reboot where they do like that's a serialized like procedural show. They'll just do their own thing. I'm more talking about like, and like I read today where they're like, because the only thing is that we know that they're changing, which I assume would be the case, is that like they changed some stuff, because I knew that the original show only went for like it was like based within the same 12 months. You can't do that with the show and the characters age up, otherwise you're just doing one season.
Yeah, so they're going to change the way the timeline works.
But that's what I'm just wondering, like, will fans of it be like?
Look, I know that there are people that in my personal life who are very excited for it.
But yeah, I was going to say, Renisa, that's not the whole point. The point is that it was already an animated show which had its storyline, and it looks like they're pretty much adapting it one for one for like 95% of it. While One Piece is this long manga and animated show, but they're condensing it. Avatar's not. If anything, they might spread it out with Avatar.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, and it's not necessarily like whether it should exist. It's more what's like outside of money, cha-ching. Is there more damage that you're going to do to it rather than?
I don't think it's going to do more damage because that movie would have done all the damage.
That's the only thing.
I don't think that this show is going to be worse than that movie.
But I'm just wondering, does it then continue on? Because everyone's asked why have they never done a Pokemon one?
Well,
or something like that. Which is
there was a Pokemon movie.
Yeah, but you know the thing with that is it was a completely like separate, individual, completely made up story, just set within the Pokemon world. And that's I actually think that movie is pretty decent, to be completely honest.
And I'm gonna call to my expert Cody in the chat, but I do believe that at least in one regard or one iteration of this new show, the creators were involved with it and then they stepped away.
Yeah, that actually I forgot about that until you brought that up. So I wonder what happened there.
Yeah. So the creators that were involved with it stepped away from it. They're still working on animated stuff because there's a lot of upcoming animated projects, but they stepped away from the live action one and they had to like adapt it.
Do you think it's because like they were doing certain things, maybe in regards to the pacing, and they?
So Cody says it's true. So yeah, that's right. I just want to make sure I was right.
I remember.
So Fetman here, this is a comment. I have it up on screen, and Jasmine brings this up in the chat. Speaking of Avatar, did you see the news they're removing Soko's sexism in the Netflix show? And being someone that watched all the seasons of it multiple times, I've got two opinions on this. Okay, one of them is his attitude is important to his character because he starts out being kind of this unlikable idiot, sort of like, do you remember there's a character on The Flash that everybody disliked in the beginning, right? Remember that character by the name of Ralph?
Yeah.
Of Ralph?
Yeah, and so character growth and progression.
Yeah,
and
they start out as kind of an idiot, and then throughout the course of time, the show has them go through character development so that they're not so much of an idiot, and they start correcting problems with their behavior and their attitude, and it shows growth of character. That was his character line in the storyline of the show, right? So having them change that, I don't know what they're going to do to make the character different. And well, it wasn't just the sexism stuff. It was just his general attitude about like his behavior, I think is the way they phrased it, some of the articles. So I'm like, I get that they want to make it a more updated version of the story. But when we're talking about a character that starts out in a place that's not great and then gets better, I think that's an important part of that character. So the only thing I can imagine is that they're giving him something else that he has to work on that's going to replace that. Because otherwise, if he's a likable guy from the beginning and he's just a fun, silly, like sidekick character, without this part of his story where he starts to become more aware of his behavior, without that, it makes him comic relief only. And that's one of the things people are complaining about. So, I mean, maybe they'll fix that. Maybe they've got something else in mind. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. It could be a hot steaming pile of poo, but the movie was the worst. So I don't think the show's going to be.
So do you think? Yeah. So do you think if the movie didn't exist, it'd it would be critiqued harder, but because the movies there are just like, well, hey, it's better than this.
100%.
Yeah.
So this live action show will be compared directly to the live action movie and not so much the cartoon.
Outside of like specific events, like, oh, this is how they portrayed this, sequence or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But quality wise will be to the movie.
So that's why I think it's a safe thing for them. Now, the only thing that could be like a big issue is that they just drop the ball on the characters and make them unlikable completely.
Like, I'll watch it because I only saw like really early. Like I can't even remember anything that happens. Like I didn't, like it was maybe season 1. I don't even know how many seasons the animated show had.
Jeffrey says he's excited. Hero's Journey's out. See you later. Hero's Journey said Ralph was weird in the beginning. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the purpose of the character, I think, right? All right, so let's end this poll here. We got the poll about Captain America's suit. See what the score is. Wow. Okay, interesting. Only 10% said no, so a very small percentage of people said no. Yes was 56%, and 32% don't care. Where do you fall in that category, Paige?
I don't give a shit.
Right, so you're in that 32%. Got it. All right. Hey, Chronic, how are you doing? Good to see you. All right, so before we watch this trailer for the Ghostbusters and then wrap up the stream here, we have some news about Thunderbolts, and this isn't the first time we saw. How many people have dropped out of the film now? I think it's just, is it a couple now, or is it just
two? Isn't it?
Just two.
Steven Yeun and now this.
Yeah. So Io Edebiri has exited the film due to scheduling issues, and now Geraldine Viswanathan has taken over the role in the upcoming superhero film. We talked about this a little bit prior to the stream, and I don't think we know who the character was supposed to be, but you said that there was it a rumor that it's going to be like the
someone
second in
said
command
that,
or something?
Someone said that the role isn't even that big of a thing. It's like definitely like a minor supporting role, and they're like the assistant or right hand person to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character.
Okay. So Val's support character.
Yeah, whatever her name is.
Yeah. So there's also rumors that she's supposed to be Moonstone. I don't know if that's true, if that was debunked. Not sure.
By the way, I always, whenever I see like a poster or a picture, I always get the Geraldine Viswanathan mixed up with that Melissa Barrera. They look exactly the same. They are literally, look up a picture of Melissa Barrera. I think that's the name. And Geraldine, they look exactly the same.
I'm gonna find a picture of her.
Because when I saw the Scream poster for like the new Scream movies, I thought it was her.
Let me see. Okay, we'll pull it up on screen after this, but yeah. Let's see. Where's a good picture of her?
Look at the stats. I got the facts. Eric is smelly.
Let's see. I don't know. They resemble each other, but
I think they look really, really similar.
Okay,
it might just be the eyes. Like they have.
Let me do this. We'll stop this and I'll pull it up here, and then we can.
We look the same here at the moment as well.
Well, that's because you're using a Photoshop picture of me.
Okay, you claim Photoshop.
Anyway, here's Melissa here. So you think that reminds you of Geraldine?
Yeah, especially look if you get like that photo with like the purpley pink background or something like that. Let me I think it's the eyes. They have like similar eyes, but to me they look like really similar.
The purpley pink background.
Yeah, whatever.
Right here.
Just, yeah. Like I think if you cast them in a movie and they're twin sisters, people would buy it and believe it.
So Io though, she backed out because not only is it a conflict of scheduling, but also apparently she's in big demand right now because of the Bear.
Well, no, I think she backed out because the Bear's filming, because the Bear got delayed because of the strikes and shit.
So anyway, a lot of people are saying that it's like a big issue, blah blah blah, whatever. The way the recast happened, it tells me that it wasn't a big issue.
I mean, even the other there's a lot of these different things coming out, but because it's on a Marvel movie or a DC movie or whatever it is, they're not big news. But there's like every week there's these things saying person leaves and then recast this person.
Yeah.
Because the strikes delayed all these movies being made.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, this is not the last time someone's going to drop out of a project over the next few months, because the issue is the strikes delayed filming for so many things that it doesn't take a genius to figure out that a lot of people had previous obligations, contractual obligations, that locked them into projects. and then made it impossible for them to film something else. Thunderbolts needed to be filmed at a certain time. She's got obligations to what she's filming now. They overlap. It's impossible. There's nothing can be done about it. And that's just it. That's the reality of it. There's always these conspiracy theories, people with tinfoil hats on that want to imagine that everything is just some weird fucking thing. And it's like, she just has something else that she's filming right now. It happens. People double book stuff. And the strike did not make it any better for people that are in high demand for roles, especially actors that are not lead actors in a lot of things. And this is something we're probably going to see a lot of. If you're an actor that's usually playing a side character, supporting character, whatever, you're probably booking a lot of minor gigs over the course of like a year. And when the strike happened, that overlaps a lot. So like when you're a big actor, you might do one big movie a year. You know what I mean? Because you get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to do a role. You might have one big movie a year. It might be an award bait movie. But that's not the case for a lot of actors. A lot of actors work on multiple projects. And that just happens. Just as, like, I can't tell you how many times I've watched shows, especially like reality shows where they have judges come in to judge the reality shows. Like they sit on the panel and they're judging whatever's going on. And it's like, it's an actor that you've seen in a million things. You're like, oh my God, I know that actor from a million different shows. And that's because they're working a lot of gigs. Because that's the vast majority of actors in Hollywoods, they do that. That's the gigs they work. They're not lead actors. Lead actors are not very common. Like you have to work really hard to get a lead role because Hollywood doesn't want to worry about whether or not they have to take a risk. And this is one of the big issues with Hollywood in general. So, anyway, all right. So let's watch this this trailer for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So it's a 2-minute and some change trailer, almost 3 minutes, I guess. I haven't seen this one yet. Let me pause the music here.
So is this I think you were saying, by the way, I fucking hate it. 2024 Eric.
Okay.
I don't want to say like extremist attack, but like it's getting to the point. If I keep seeing movie trailers that are almost 3 fucking minutes, I might.
So you're a fan of like the one and done, like 1 minute done trailer.
A trailer for a movie should be a minute to a minute and a half. That's it. Why are we getting 2-minute trailers still? I'm begging. This is one of those stupid videos where they put like a minute of those stupid after. Click on this next video.
Well, it is a Joe Blow video, and a lot of times they'll play like the newest trailer and then all the other trailers after that. So this might not be a full one. It might be
okay.
Yeah, it might be.
For the sake of my brain and my well-being.
We'll see. But Joe Blow does that typically. They usually do like the newest trailer, and then they just connect. They just put all the trailers on afterwards. So we'll see. All right, let's watch the trailer and see how this goes. Because I really like the last Ghostbusters movie. So
I didn't see that in theaters, but then I watched it when it came out.
I was gonna say, have you not seen it at all? Or
I saw it on Netflix, on Netflix or one of the streaming services this year, and I was like, that was pretty good. It's not as good as like the OG ones, but I thought it was still like, I thought it was still fun. Like
it was better than that 2016 movie, which was
like I didn't even know Paul Rudd was in it, and I was like, oh, Paul Rudd's in this, and then like Carrie Coon and like Finn Wolfhard and stuff. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, it was solid. All right, so this is my first time seeing this, so this is actually a reaction from me. So let's see how this trailer goes.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
It's all dark and horny.
Does that ghost just do like a 360 no scope? Like
what? What'd you say? The what?
It goes to the beginning. Go right to the beginning.
Yeah.
He does like a 360, like
all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Oh, you mean the spinning
right
thing?
At the beginning?
Yeah. All the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
All right.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters.
I will say this though, as being someone who, grew up in the 80s and watched movies back then.
You mean the 1880s?
Yeah, the 1880s. I miss the way the movies looked in the 80s and the 90s. Like they had a certain look to them that we just don't get on digital. Like it was like the filming on actual film stock was so good back then.
So have you seen The Holdovers?
Mm-mm.
So watch it. It's a really good movie. It's like a Christmas movie as well.
Right.
Like the one that Paul Giamatti might win it. I think he probably should, to be completely honest.
Okay.
I think you can watch it on Peacock. I think it's actually on Peacock now, or one of the streaming things. But that movie looks like it was made. Like, if you didn't have Paul Giamatti and then like these modern actors in it, you would think
look like it was an older film.
Yeah, like
an
80s,
older
maybe
movie.
early 90s or something like that. They made it like that. I thought it was really good.
But I mean, it's just like the shot here when it goes from them driving, and then it shows the shot from the original film. There's just a certain quality
difference, yeah,
in those movies that I miss, that I appreciate now that I'm looking back on. I'm like, they felt like when you were watching a movie, it felt different. Like the way it was filmed felt different. And nowadays, everything is done on digital, and there's green screen and stuff like that.
I know it sounds. You know what? Another issue is that like they just don't film at locations and stuff like that. And they don't want to film. Like they won't film on an actual street in New York. They'll film like a back lot. Like, but the thing is, funnily, this actually did film on New York streets, but I think that's mainly because they had the car and stuff, and anything where they're walking might be on a back lot or something like that.
Well, let's see here where they go with the nostalgia.
3 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished. Right. Well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You know, I will say that the nostalgia, I think, is intentional because I think they know that the first movie was kind of a sleeper thing for a lot of people because of the 2016 movie kind of.
Well, that's the thing, because when you think Ghostbusters, you think New York City.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good, but it also felt like it was missing, like it actually being like amongst all these people and like it not in this small town or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Though there was some like good moments there. Like I think it missed like, especially like the age of New York City and everything like that and everything that would be. So I think it's smart going back here for that for this sequel.
Oh, 100%.
Follow on.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What the hell? Why is he in this movie?
What is it?
I didn't realize he was in this movie.
What's inside?
Might just be like a small role.
I also want to point out there was a lot of like horror elements in the original Ghostbusters movie, especially the first one, that they kind of shied away from in recent times, and I feel like
that movie's pretty scary when you're watching it as a kid. Like I remember watching it like when I was 8, 9
the
years old.
The OG one, the first one.
Yeah. Like when like Sigourney Weaver's character gets taken over, like when like the fridge scene and everything, like that's
no, it definitely was.
Kid.
And I think that the second movie, the thing that they suffered from that second movie is they wanted to be more family friendly, and I think that was the problem with that second one. Even though I did like the second one,
I think the second one's still strong, but it's just a bit sillier. It goes for more like action comedy rather than like horror comedy, or no.
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill, by fear itself.
That was kind of scary too. Wow.
Scared to death.
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Can I be of any help? Melnitz in uniform.
Oh, the receptionist is in this movie.
The what?
The receptionist lady from the 2 Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah, like she's actually in a suit. That's pretty funny.
Wait, wasn't she in a suit in the second one?
I don't think so. I don't think she was. In the cartoon, she wore a suit. I remember her in the suit in the cartoon, but I don't think she was in the second one.
Okay, maybe that's what they're referencing there.
Yeah. So there's that. Look how scary that is. This
Isn't
looks
that the ghost
really
from the
good.
first one?
Yeah. It looks like the ghost from the library. It's pretty cool.
If there's something strange,
oh my God,
that's a bit.
if there's something weird, who are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
Oh wow, okay.
Heads up. It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
That's actually pretty smart. The drone with the
which one?
ghost
The drone with
catcher
the
on it.
ghost. Yeah, no, that's great. Is there a little teaser here after that? Yeah.
Oh,
Slime. Yeah, 100%.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you notice that they actually made him look like he was from the old? They didn't try and like update him with some modern VFX. They just sort of make him look like he did back then. Like outside of that trail, like he looks like
right here, this shot right there. That's 100% him. Yeah, 100%.
It looks like the one from the old one.
Wow. I'm actually pretty excited about this movie. This is a good trailer. It seems like some people are kind of torn on the nostalgia part of it. I saw a couple comments in the chat, but I would say overall, I think I'm probably going to see this movie in theaters, most likely. This kind of reminds me of like the way they should have advertised the Flash movie with Michael Keaton. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the nostalgia done right. Maybe they should have done a bit more of that with the Batman in the Flash movie. Maybe.
Yeah, like, but that's the thing with nostalgia. You got to like balance it to the point where it doesn't feel like it's a gimmick, but it actually plays into it properly. And a lot of
to me that looks good though. That trailer made me excited to go see the movie. Like,
you know why it doesn't feel gimmicky as well? Because the first one had like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, what's the fucking Ernie Hudson. Like Ernie Hudson, all of them show up and stuff like that. So it doesn't feel like they're showing up for no reason because they've already been a part of it. But yeah, like I think it looks fun, you know. And obviously,
I actually think it looks better than that the other one we got. The one.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's an improvement. But the fact that this looks like an improvement and I enjoyed that first one is obviously a very, very good sign.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. You know, I mean, I'm a casual Ghostbusters fan. I've watched everything from Ghostbusters, but I'm not like, I know there are people that are super into it that have like their own proton packs and their own suits and all that stuff. There's a massive fan community built around Ghostbusters. So,
well, you know what, Byron? I don't hate the 2016 version. I just think it's completely mishandled. You know what my biggest issue with that? Every character in that movie is trying to be Bill Murray. They're trying to be Bill Murray's character when you don't have, you know, like you don't have Dan Aykroyd's like you have to have a balance there, and all of them were trying to be the funny person.
I actually think my issue with the 2016 movie was they had an extremely talented cast of people, and it's like they just didn't know what to do with them as a group. Yeah. And it should have been right there in front of their faces. I will say though, we wouldn't have gotten Thor Ragnarok without Chris Hemsworth doing humor in Ghostbusters. I do believe that was what gave us Thor Ragnarok.
Well, that's what it turned into, Jordan. That's what it turned into because everyone was trying to be the funny person. There was no balance there.
Yeah. I wanted it to be good because I liked everyone in that film. I just watched it and I was like, this feels very empty to me. And I don't know why. I didn't hate it. Like I didn't have a visceral response to it like a lot of people, but I just didn't feel connected to it. And the one that we got, it was 2019 when we got the other one, 2020.
I think it was 2019. Oh, was it maybe like right at the beginning of 2020 or something?
Either way.
Oh, no. It came out, I think, at the end of 2020 because it was like got delayed because of COVID, I think.
Right. Either way, that one I really enjoyed. I thought that was a good movie, and I felt connected to that one. And it could be because it was just connected to the rest of the it's 2021.
I didn't feel like it was that long ago, but anyway.
I maybe it was because it was connected to the greater Ghostbuster world. Maybe that's why I felt that way about it. But I get it. We have one last super chat. We had one chat that I had started here from earlier. I don't know how long ago this was, Kenneth. Eric, never asked you before, but growing up, what was your favorite classic DC films and DC TV shows from back in the day, pre-2000s? There wasn't a lot, right? I mean, most of the stuff would kind of happen after the big X-Men boom and Spider-Man, Sony. If you look back at that era, there's only like a couple of things to really pull from as far as TV shows. Movies wise, there was a handful of them. I would probably say my favorite DC movie, if I have to pick one prior to like the 2000s, it would be Batman 89. That's the one that basically as a kid, I remember not only loving, like I had the soundtrack for it. I had the score for it. You know, I had every version of this that I could find, all the different cuts and everything on VHS. So I just loved that movie so much. That original Batman 89. So for me, that would probably be my favorite movie. As far as TV shows go, again, there wasn't a lot. I'm trying to think if I watched any superhero show. Most of it was cartoons, right? There wasn't a lot of pre-2000s TV shows. Thinking what was out back then. The Hulk. I think there was a Hulk TV show. There was Wonder Woman. There was I guess she was trying to think. Yeah, the 90s Flash was probably the best one out of all of them. I'm trying to remember if that was the one that I liked the most, though. I would probably say it would be, for me, it would either be, because I remembered as a kid, the Hulk TV show or 90s Flash. Those would be my two TV shows, most likely.
Not Batman 66?
No. Not at all. Did you were probably very young back then, but do you have anything you remember from before that era that maybe you didn't watch growing up, but that you like from that time period?
Well, the first superhero movie I ever watched was Batman, the Keaton from 89. And my mum showed it to me. It would have been, I think it would have been, because when I was a kid, I had because I never really watched the Batman animated series when I was younger, but I remember watching especially the two Keaton Batman movies. I think it would have been maybe 5 or 6 when I probably first watched that. So 98, 99 or something like that. But then over time you watch Superman. I've only ever seen the first Superman. I haven't watched any of the sequels. Oh no, I've seen the Donner cut.
Actually that is the better. That's the better version.
I've never seen just Superman 2, but I've seen the Donner cut of Superman 2.
It's so much better than the theatrical version.
I used to watch a lot of all 4 Batman movies when I was younger, quite a bit, even Batman and Robin. Because when you're a kid, you think it's good.
That was the point, though. That movie existed.
Whenever I see someone say that they were 9 years old and then watched Batman and Robin, thought it was bad, I'm like, yeah, get your head out of your ass. You enjoyed the shit out of that. Don't even try and come with that lie.
Yep,
that you were 9 or 10 years old.
That's straight up cap.
You know what?
Straight up.
You know what? No, my critical hat is on.
I hated it so much. It was so my theatrical chops were so high back then that I was into
shove the DVD up your ass. Actually, let's make it worse. Make it the videotape.
You were in line at McDonald's to get a Happy Meal to get those Batman toys back then. So yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure I had one of those Batman Forever cups because I'm pretty sure they came out in Australia.
Oh, I know I had them 100%.
Well, yeah,
when those movies were out, I had all of those.
I think that was 95. Did Batman Forever come out? So I was only 2, but I think my sister got them.
If you're talking about the 4 Batman movies from that era, right? It's shocking to me the amount of people that don't realize that the second Batman movie is actually the best one out of the 4 of them. Even though 89, I think, is my favorite, I think the second one was the one that felt the most like a real, Tim Burton's identity was stamped on it.
Oh yeah, I probably watched the first and the second one pretty equally. Though the first one was the one I watched the most, but I did watch Batman Returns a lot. Like Danny DeVito's Penguin used to scare the shit out of me.
I will say this forever that second one though is the Tim Burton movie. I know the first one does have Tim Burton in it, but it was also him trying to put out what Warner Brothers wanted.
For those that don't know the story about the first Batman movie, that people don't realize how much of a risk and think that a risk that was for Warner Brothers, but also it was it was them playing a game of poker with the buyout. So they were going to get bought out by was it Time Warner or was it the one before that? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It was.
I was going to try and look it up, but I don't think
I think it was in looking around 1990 1989 thing, but they got a merger deal done because Batman performed so well. Batman performed so well, and then they were able to get that across the line. It gave them an up and negotiating power.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers investors needed to see the film before making Tim Burton's Batman a reality. They're in a difficult situation after taking on the new Batman project. Warner Brothers had found themselves in a very difficult situation. The marketing director at Warner told me that Adam West had been going to various media outlets stating that he should be Batman, that this Batman is the only true Batman, and this dark thing that Warner Brothers is doing has nothing to do with Batman at all.
Yeah. In 1990, they merged with Time Incorporated, so then it became Time Warner.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
And that's what the Batman movie made them that happen. And then I think it gave them like the executive power. So if the Batman movie hadn't performed, Time Incorporated people would have become the new executives like David Zaslav did when Discovery took over Warner Brothers. But instead, because Batman performed so well, they kept the film executives there instead of merging the other executives over.
Cam likes the third one, Batman Forever.
I think Batman Forever is still fine. I think it's fine. Like I think it's got some silly stuff in it, but like, yeah, I think it's fine.
So in my opinion, out of those 4 movies, I think as an adult, the worst movie is clearly the Batman and Robin movie. I think it's the worst one, right? If you look back at it as an adult, as far as movies go,
everybody chill.
The best movie. The best made movie, I think, out of all of them is Batman Returns. I think Batman Returns is in my opinion, the second Spider-Man movie from, Raimi. Like, I feel like that is the one where the director got the studio to believe in them enough that they could make the movie they actually wanted to make. So I think that's that second movie. The first one is still my favorite because it is the one that I remember the most. It's most nostalgic. It's got the best soundtrack. I really love that. But Kiss from a Rose is also a really good song, so I can go with that. So get me in trouble there. We're gonna blend that out. But anyway, so thank you for the question, Kenny. I appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I'll be back on Thursday night here to talk about random topics. We'll see if any other news drops. Might get some more. Do you think we'll get any more DC casting news this week? Maybe some Fantastic Four news this week. What do you think?
Oh. DCU Goldface, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Superman and Lois news, maybe. Maybe we'll get some of that this week. How far on filming do you think they are?
Will they be on like episode 2, like back half of episode 2 or something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When did they start filming? It was over a week ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, over a week ago. Yeah.
So like 2 weeks ago. They'd be on episode 2 now.
Yeah. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Byron. Appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you so much. And we will see everyone again on Thursday.